Nerdy D, I know you might be tired of talking about it, but do you think that Shinsuke Nakamura was continuing to tease a CM Punk return at Survivor Series? Let's break this down. All of these teases, all of these coincidences that WWE is using in the last couple of episodes of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, you guys tell me what you think. Like, what do you think? Like, are these real coincidences? Is this just happening? Or does WWE know what they're doing? So Seth Rollins dropped a bunch of lines and promos in the past couple of weeks. Roman Reigns has dropped a couple of suspect lines in his promos in the last couple of weeks. Shinsuke Nakamura has gone out of his way to say things in promos and do things like use the GTS that have led us all to start going down this Bray Wyatt-esque rabbit hole. And then you add the USA Network dropping a tease. And that, to me, coincidence, you could point to one or two situations. You got to convince me that there is a world where WWE is going to completely bait the fans into watching Survivor Series knowing that this is going on. They know this is happening. Like, you have to convince me there's a world where WWE baits fans into watching Survivor Series knowingly teasing people to something that's not going to happen. And then you got to convince me, though, on the other side, that there's a world where WWE brings back Randy Orton and CM Punk in the same night. So those are two kind of conflicting feelings that I have. Can you imagine the momentum coming out of Survivor Series if you bring back both CM Punk and Randy Orton on the same night? Now, winter is a notoriously slow season for WWE. And all of a sudden, in your slowest time of the year, you turn it around and you spike the ratings by bringing back two needle movers. Both of those guys are immediate needle movers for WWE. How would we feel if Randy Orton immediately comes back and attacks Seth Rollins after his match with Drew McIntyre, and we get a nice little heel run of Randy Orton as the world champion? That'd be fun. I'm not completely against that. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not big on Raw right now. Raw could use an influx of new faces. From just a pure rating standpoint, setting aside personal feelings about CM Punk, if you bring CM Punk back, you immediately opened and widened the gap between AEW and WWE even more. I think that just from a proof of concept perspective, a returning CM Punk that is successful sends a huge message to any guy in AEW who is going to become a free agent within the next year. It sends the message that WWE is the bigger promotion. WWE can make you a star. Just look at the last couple of acquisitions between both companies. You know, I'd argue that Jade leaves AEW and is immediately elevated to a bigger star, even though she hasn't even wrestled yet. I think that her star power is already bigger. I think that there are more people with eyes on Jade Cargill right now in WWE than there ever were with her in AEW. Then on the flip side, Edge goes to AEW and he's immediately thrust into negative headlines with Ricky Starks, and he kind of underperforms, and you start seeing these optics of empty arenas, and whether right or wrong, Edge is going to bear a little bit of that weight. And then you go back even further and you talk about Cody Rhodes, who left AEW to go on to main event WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, and who we all assume is going to win the WWE title within the next 365 days. And so you look over at AEW and you go, they don't have that. You know, Daniel Bryan, Andrade, Miro, they all left WWE to go to AEW. And all they've gotten is a bunch of, quote unquote dream matches that no one watches. And what I'm trying to say is that if I'm MJF and I have to look closely at how things are shaping out in the landscape of pro wrestling, WWE looks like the only real possibility if I want to reach the top of the mountain. So when it comes to CM Punk, somebody's going to have to explain to me, what is the real negative from bringing CM Punk back to WWE? What is that thing that makes you go, no, we can't do that? You know this. You know if he starts any shit, you just immediately fire him. There's no questions asked. You don't let him run around and pout. You don't let him get into a backstage skirmish. If he just even gives you a whiff of bullshit, you're gone. You're fired. WWE has that capability. And CM Punk has to know at this point that the leash is short. He has to know when he goes in for that meeting, that kind of entry meeting into WWE, they have to lay out for him clearly, this is your job. These are your goals. This is who we want you to put over. And if you don't think that's reasonable, don't sign on the dotted line, because this is what we're using you for, and we're going to use you to your best advantage. I also don't think that CM Punk is a guy with an ego that can't put other people over. I think that was always his intention in AEW. I just think he has a very specific way that he wants to do things. And a lot of things that I said about Logan Paul last week on the SmackDown post show, I think those same things pertain to CM Punk. He's a guy who wants to make great wrestling moments. I think he believes in legacy. Whereas I think Logan Paul wants to make viral moments, I think CM Punk wants to make legacy moments. And I think CM Punk respects the business. Now, the IWC may completely fucking disagree with me, but I honestly, that is my take on CM Punk, is he's a guy who just wants to create legacy. And I think his time in AEW probably made him respect and understand the business that is WWE a little better. Now, Milwaukee Mike sent me a clip from Twitter for an edit of CM Punk returning at Survivor Series. It was, these clips that were cut together, and it was Seth Rollins standing in the ring. The lights go dark. Cult of Personality hits with no backtrack. It's just the vocal acapella. Dude, shit gave me goosebumps. Like, and I'm not like an overreact kind of guy outside of being on a podcast, but that shit got me hyped. I was like, let's go. This is what I want to see. Now, I will say, I think he's not coming back after Seth Rollins. I think initially that it looks like he's going to come back against Shinsuke Nakamura if that's in the work. But the way they cut this together, it all still works. Here's my only fear. This is a fear I have, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself because he's not even back in WWE yet, and and I have fears about what's going to happen. I just hope that if he does come back to WWE, they don't bring him back as a babyface. They don't make the same mistake that AEW did and try to make him the good guy. Like, I think that if they just wanted to destroy ratings, you wanted to be the biggest show on television, have CM Punk show back up under the authority of Vince McMahon, like it's one last ditch effort for Vince McMahon to take back over his company. Now, Vince's ego is never going to allow for this, but this would blow people's minds. And have Vince McMahon be an on-screen character trying to get his company back, and use CM Punk to recruit disgruntled wrestlers into a faction that essentially turned into like a authority 2.0 going up against the kind of legacy TKO wrestlers. You could even have a faction called TKO, would be pretty cool. But have it all come to a head at like WrestleMania. CM Punk could recruit guys like AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory. It could work. That's me just going off on a tangent, but I ultimately, someone's gonna have to explain to me why CM Punk doesn't come back. Like, really, what is the downside? What is the down? Yes, you have a lot of IWC fans on the internet who are going to go, oh, we're not going to watch if CM Punk comes back. You fuckers weren't watching anyway. So you're going to have to tell me from a casual fan standpoint, what is the problem with bringing CM Punk back?